The top stories tonight in Y News. In spite of classroom and teacher shortage problems, Education Secretary Vice President Sara Duterte declared the return of face-to-face classes a victory. After crowding and long lines during the payout of cash aid last Saturday, the DSWD will adjust how it will distribute money for indigent students over the next 6 weekends. Stormy weather may prevail across northern and central Luzon throughout Tuesday due to the expected passage of Tropical Storm Florita. Jordan Clarkson and Sotto will lead the Gilas Pilipinas 13-man pool against Lebanon in the fourth window of the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts. First in the news. Nagpayong Elementary School, the second most populated school in the National Capital Region, implies class-shifting schedules among its thousands of students. Ray Pelayo explains why.
With just 288 teachers, the Nagpayong Elementary School in Pasig City has around 11,900 students. Emilita Medina, the principal of the school, finds that tasks are not that simple, especially during this pandemic. As a precautionary measure, they forbid parents from entering the school and security personnel direct students to their appropriate teachers. 20 pupils are allowed in every batch just to maintain physical distance. During break time, food is just being delivered to rooms.
So, yung grade 3 at grade 6, medyo marunong na sila. Alam na nila kung saan ang kwarto nila, saan hahanapin, marunong magbasa. Kaya pwede silang dire-diretso na. Pero itong grade 1, they have to be accompanied by their parents. Pero hanggang gate din lang sila.
Students are assisted at the exit gate while they wait for their parents to pick up them after the class is dismissed. However, the road behind the school is overcrowded.
Okay naman po kasi yung paglabas lang, masikip kasi siksikan sa loob.
Sobrang masikip po kasi yung daanan dito. Sana doon na lang sa kabila sa may main na din sa may main gate kasi mas maluwag po doon. Siksikan ng mga nanay. Okay naman kasi hindi inaabot nila sa talagang guardian.
50 teachers are now needed by the school. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
As schools resumed face-to-face classes today, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. reminded teachers and students to abide by the minimum public health standards. Nel Maribuhok reports.
Monday marked the return of in-person classes, which President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. welcomed. A classroom with interacting students and teachers, in the view of the President, is where learning is more effective. But in order to ensure that they remain healthy while learning new things, President Marcos has reminded teachers and students to continue observing health protocols against COVID-19. The chief executive added he had no doubt with Vice President Sara Duterte running the Department of Education. According to Dr. Edsel Salvania, infectious diseases expert, it is important to always observe the health protocols in the opening of classes.
I'm actually very encouraged na itong pagbukas natin ng mga klase, mukhang gumagamit naman ng mask yung mga tao, mukhang sinusunod naman yung health protocols. Bagamat we expect some increase dahil syempre there's more people out there. Hindi naman ibig sabihin na syempre na lalaganap talaga ito ng todo-todo.
Amid the observation on the impacts of opening full face-to-face classes, Salvania also recommended to the government to extend the state of public health emergency. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, Metro Manila Mayors personally supervised the opening of classes today. One of their top priorities is the well-being of students. Dante Amento tells us why.
Early this morning, Bacood Elementary School's first day of face-to-face learning was presided over by Manila City Mayor Hani Lacuna. The LGU has offered free school bags, supplies, and hygiene kits for students, among other things including toothpaste and alcohol.
May isolation rooms po tayong dalawa, just in case po na in the middle of classes ay bigla na lang pong merong magkakasakit. Meron din po tayong mga safety officers na maglilibot before, during, and after classes to make sure po all health protocols are being followed.
The Lady Mayor also urged parents to vaccinate their children.
Tuloy-tuloy ang aming panawagan na sana mapabakunahan po natin ang ating mga anak, lalong-lalo na at may face-to-face classes na po tayo.
A few parents helped their kids to schools personally.
Nahirapan, bigla kasi nasanay sa sa online class, tapos ngayon biglang gising ng sobrang aga. Kaya medyo adjust talaga. Sobrang excited siya. Talagang gusto na niya makita yung mga kaklase niya.
So kaninang maga pagising ko sa kanya, bangon naman agad siya. Sabi niya lang sa akin, "Lola, gabi pa, bakit papasok na agad ako?" Sabi ko, "Hindi, maaga ang pasok mo."
Mayor Francis Zamora of San Juan City witnessed the immunization of children concurrent with the start of physical classes.
Base po sa ating pag-iikot, maayos naman po ang unang araw. Dito po tayo sa San Juan Elementary School. Makita naman po ang pagsasagawa namin ng klase. Maayos, walang problema.
Additionally, a new school that would serve students in high school was opened.
Dahil nga mababa ng bilang ng mga kaso natin, ay pinupuksan natin ito bilang isang paaralan para sa ating mga mag-aral. Ito po ang ating San Juan Science High School.
To determine what is lacking in various learning facilities, Muntinlupa City Mayor Rufi Biason visited some public schools.
Tinanong natin ang kondisyon ng mga facilities. May mga kailangan tayong i-improve dito tulad ng classroom nila na mga walang bintana, ibig sabihin walang cover. Pagka umulan, baka mabasa yung mga estudyante. Sa atin po ngayon, ang report naman sa atin ng officer in charge ay tayo ay nakapagsimula ng school days ng maayos.
Meanwhile, local officials in Valenzuela City discovered that there should be some improvements made to the schools, including a complete renovation of comfort rooms and the addition of new equipment like TVs.
Dapat po protektahan natin ang kalusugan ng ating mga anak. Kaya ho sa lahat ng ating mga magulang at guardians, sana po lumapit na tayo at pumunta sa pinakamalapit na vaccination center para makuha ho ang bakuna para sa ating mga anak.
Authorities reported that the opening of face-to-face learning in the National Capital Region was smooth and orderly based on monitoring. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The first day of face-to-face classes was properly conducted according to the Philippine National Police or PNP. PNP Chief Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. claims that since this morning, there have been no untoward incidents nationwide. Leia Ilagan has the story.
Due to the Philippine National Police immediate security preparations for the start of classes since this morning, there have been no untoward incidents reported by the PNP on the first day of classes. Nevertheless, PNP Chief Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. ordered the police on the ground to continue their police visibility in the upcoming days for the security of the students.
So far, wala pa naman pong naitatala na kahit anuman pong krimen. And I hope na hindi lamang po ngayong araw na ito, but sa mga susunod na araw ay medyo mapag-igting pa po natin ang ating crime prevention para nang sa ganon ay yun pong mga estudyante po natin is they would feel safe and secure every time they go to their respective schools.
Additionally, General Azurin directs the PNP to hold orientation for students teachers and parents on the mode of operation of criminals.
Ang reminder po natin sa ating mga kapulisan is they should be visible near the school campuses. They should be ready to respond to any police assistance needed by anybody within the police vicinity, specifically yung mga estudyante po, yung mga teachers po, at saka yung mga parents po na naghahatid lalo na po sa mga bata.
Azurin said that they are prepared to offer students free transportation if the Department of Education requests it.
We have the necessary vehicles to assist po yung ating mga estudyante should they need our assistance. Kasi baka hindi ho nila kailangan ay makakasama pa ho sa traffic congestion if we are going to deploy po yung mga buses natin. But we will take the cue from the DOTR or from DepEd if they need the assistance of the PNP sa atin pong programa sa Libreng Sakay.
Apart from preventing crime, the police are also enforcing minimum health standards. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Alexander Dugin, also known as Putin's brain, was killed in a car bomb explosion outside Moscow on Saturday night. Ruth Bahay will tell us the details live. Yes, Ruth?
Kath, a 29-year-old TV journalist, Daria Dugina, died after a bomb planted beneath the car she was driving exploded near the village of Bolshe Vizami outside Moscow on Saturday, according to the Russian Investigative Committee. It was believed that the main target of the attack was her father, Alexander Dugin, a close ally and chief promoter of Russia's invasion in Ukraine. Before the incident happened, the pair attended a festival near Moscow and were set to leave in the same car owned by Mr. Dugin, but he had decided to travel separately at the last minute. As of now, no suspects were immediately identified, but some Russians blamed the blast on Ukraine. Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, has strongly denied the accusations, saying that they are not a criminal state, unlike Russia, and definitely not a terrorist state. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova also stated in a Telegram post that if Ukraine was responsible behind the attack, it would amount to state terrorism. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Ruth Bahay, for that live report. Japan is considering to possess more than 1,000 long-range cruise missiles that are capable of reaching the coastal areas of North Korea and China. Nerissa Dando will tell us why live. Nerissa?
Good evening, Kath. According to the government sources on Sunday, Japan is working on extending the range of missiles from the current 100 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers, boosting Japan's counterattack capability against China. Japan previously had a policy that restricted them from having the ability to attack enemy bases, but as the gap between the missile attack capability of Japan with that of China grew wider, the country now aims to deploy a large number of these weapons. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida also repeatedly stated that Japan will strengthen its defense within the next 5 years, including the counter-strike capabilities. Meanwhile, China has around 1,900 medium-range ballistic missiles that can reach Japan and about 300 medium-range cruise missiles. Earlier this month, tension between the two countries rose as China launched 5 ballistic missiles which landed in Japan's exclusive economic zone, or EEZ. Back to you, Kat.
Thank you, Nerissa Dando, for that live report. We'll share more global stories with you, but for now, back to you, William.
Yes, thank you, Kath. Several schools faced difficulties when classes began today, including a shortage of classrooms and a lack of teachers. To address this, the Department of Education proposed a 86 billion peso budget for 2023. Janice Inhente reports.
After 2 years of constrained learning due to COVID-19 pandemic, over 28 million students in the country have returned to physical classes as school opening begins today. Despite this, the Department of Education acknowledges that a current challenge facing public schools is a lack of classroom space. According to DepEd spokesperson Attorney Michael Powa, schools are now implementing strategies to address shortage of classrooms.
Ideally, 2 shifts lang, pero admittedly, may mga areas, especially dun sa mga highly urbanized areas, talagang umaabot po sila ng 3 shifts. Another strategy is yung blended learning. So yung blended learning, may in-person aspect pa rin talaga yan, pero ang ginagawa po nila is, there are other areas na ang ginagawa, imbis na 3 days in school, 2 days out of school, may iba, ginagawa nila 1 week in school, 1 week out of school. So mga ganyang strategies po ina-employ natin.
Powa said they are currently putting out a 86 billion pesos budget for the construction of more than 90,000 classrooms in public schools. However, if measures like the construction of temporary learning spaces and the shifting of class schedules are implemented, the number might fall to about 40,000. However, Education Secretary Vice President Sara Duterte declared that the return of face-to-face classes was a victory.
Isang hakbang na buong tapang na ginawa ng Department of Education sa kabila ng mga hamon at takot na dala ng COVID-19 pandemic. Hindi po natin binabaliwala ang mga pangamba na dulot ng pandemya. Dahil diyan, naglatag po tayo ng mga alintuntunin para maiwasan na mahawa ng COVID-19 ang ating mga learners at mga teaching and non-teaching personnel sa paaralan. At katuwang po natin ang Department of Health dito.
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In the upcoming weeks, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board seeks to add more public utility vehicles to the newly opened routes. This follows their initial evaluation of the PUV's performance during the start of today's classes. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
Operators of public utility vehicles plying newly opened routes, particularly those traversing schools, experience increased ridership as face-to-face classes resume today. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board explains this as they conduct monitoring of the operation of PUVs deployed in their respective routes.
Maayos din po dahil based din ho sa feedback natin from our operators, kahit ho yung mga kabubukas po ng mga rota, nasa daan mo sila at sabi ko nga po ay handa naman sila magsilbi sa ating mga estudyante. So we have sufficient po sa ngayon, this first day, this morning po, sufficient po ating public transportation po for our students.
LTFRB Regional Director for the National Capital Region, Attorney Zona Tamaya, says the number of passengers may still increase. This is once all other schools fully implement face-to-face classes in the coming weeks.
Sa ngayon, titignan natin, as I mentioned ho, yung U-Belt area po kasi hindi pa lahat talaga full ang students po na pumapasok. So hopefully po in the coming weeks or once po na naging open na rin ho sa klase ating mga universities, baka ho doon titignan ho natin magdagdag din po.
The LTFRB also emphasized on the orderliness of the traffic situation in school areas despite its increased volume. The agency says this is due to the visibility of police personnel in different areas, especially in the school zones. With this, the LTFRB says health protocols inside the PUVs were also properly observed. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development has awarded one-time cash aid to more than 53,000 students in crisis. The DSWD said it would create a better distribution system for its cash assistance program. JP Nunez reports.
The DSWD's latest data for educational assistance reported a total of 154 million cash distributed. This served more than 53,000 students in crisis across the country. DSWD commits to fixing the mess in its first payout, which caused chaos in distribution. The department has already coordinated the payout distribution with the Department of Interior and the local government. LGUs will now identify potential payment centers in their areas, but DSWD social workers will continue to supervise and screen clients.
Kami po ang magpapatakbo po ng mga payout centers sa buong kapuluan sa mga LGUs. Ang mga tao lamang po ng mga LGU ang magbibigay po ng ang magpi-payout. Pero kami po ang mamimili, kami po ang magsasabi kung ikaw ay benepisyaryo o hindi.
DSWD, on the other hand, said they will deduct the educational cash assistance received by Poor-Peace members from their monthly payout. Even though they were excluded from the distribution, some Poor-Peace members still lined up at payout centers.
Ibabawas po namin sa ipapadala namin po sa kanila. Siguro, baka kung kunwari tumatanggap sila 3,000 every month, babawasan po namin ng 500, sir. Pero every 2 months po kasi ang bigay ng 4-piece, sir. So yung 3,000, makakatag 6,000, siguro babawas po kami ng 1,000 doon para maibalik po sa amin. Hindi naman po biglaan.
Secretary Erwin Tulfo reported that some congressmen and senators have promised to provide funding for the Indigent student program. The department may distribute up to 1 billion peso cash assistance from a 500 million peso fund. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives received the National Expenditure Program for 2023 from the Department of Budget and Management. Education, health, and infrastructure are among the priority sectors that were proposed to receive the highest bulk of the budget. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
The national government aims to provide more classrooms, provide more assistance and subsidies to the education sector, as well as improve face-to-face classes. Earlier today, the Department of Budget and Management has submitted for deliberation the National Expenditure Program to the House of Representatives. The 2023 proposed national budget is at 5.268 trillion pesos, which is 4.9% higher compared to last year. The DBM also listed the top 5 priority sectors who received the bulk of the proposed budget. The education sector is proposed to receive the highest allocation with 852.8 billion pesos. According to DBM Secretary Amena Pangandaman, the education sector needed to be prioritized as school reopens this month.
We will achieve this through the construction of new classrooms and education facilities under the Basic Education Facilities Program with 9.8 billion, and the provision of learning materials through the Flexible Learning Options Program, 19.4 billion.
718.4 billion pesos, meanwhile, is allocated to infrastructure. The national government also aims to improve infrastructure in the country through its Build Better More program. DBM Secretary explains the national government will continue the railroad projects and other infrastructure to help the economy recover. Amid the threat of COVID-19, the health sector will receive 296.3 billion pesos under the proposed 2023 national budget. This will be allocated to the country's universal health program, improving healthcare facilities and procuring more vaccines and medicines. For social protection, a 197 billion peso budget has been proposed. This will be for the proposed increased budget for the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program and social pension for indigent senior citizens. Meanwhile, the proposed budget for the agriculture sector increased to 184.1 billion pesos. According to Secretary Pangandaman, one of the top priorities is ensuring food security and lowering commodity prices for Filipinos.
The agriculture sector will receive a substantial increase of 39.2% year-on-year with a total proposed budget of 184.1 billion for the strengthening of its banner food programs and irrigation services to ensure food security and agricultural productivity.
The lower chamber of Congress, meanwhile, assures deliberation and approval will be done before October 1. According to House Majority Leader Manix Dalipe, pre-budget briefings were already conducted to streamline the deliberations for the 2023 proposed national budget.
We are prepared for this. We have arranged the teams, and we will not also be remiss in our job to scrutinize properly the budget.
Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The largest container port in the United Kingdom see over 2,000 employees go on strike over a pay dispute. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
Crane drivers and machine operators at Felixstowe Port on England's east coast will launch a strike. The port handles around 4 million containers a year. The union alleges that the parent company, CK Hutchison Holdings Limited, have been prioritizing profits over decent wage for their workers. This is the latest addition to the country as rail workers continue their strikes for better pay and job security for 3 days. Only one train was expected to run on Sunday, affecting sports fans and tourists. More public and private sector unions, including postal workers, lawyers, British telecom staff, and garbage collectors, are planning to protest the country's worst cost of living crisis. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In order to alleviate its workforce issues, New Zealand has made some temporary adjustments to its immigration rules and aims to employ 12,000 workers over the next year through its Working Holiday Scheme. The Working Holiday Scheme is a visa given to people who want to visit New Zealand for an extended period where you can work part-time, study, and stay in the country for up to 12 months. Wage rules for skilled workers from different sectors such as care for the aged, construction and infrastructure, meat processing, seafood, and adventure tourism has also been relaxed. From the average wage of 27 New Zealand dollars, the struggling sectors can bring their wages down to 24 New Zealand dollars and 26 New Zealand dollars per hour. Visas of those who are already in New Zealand under the Working Holiday Visa can also be extended by 6 months to retain the workers in the country. Health officials are alarmed by the slow increase in monkeypox transmission in Australia as Sydney reports the virus's first local infection. Marvi Delfin will give us the details live. Yes, Marvi?
Kath, New South Wales recorded 3 new cases of monkeypox over the weekend, making the state's total to 42. One of the 3 cases were said to be locally transmitted, while the other 2 were acquired interstate. Amid the global vaccine shortages, Dr. Richard Broom, New South Wales Health Executive Director of Health Protection, encouraged those sexually active to monitor symptoms. As cases in Victoria also grow, the Department of Health increased its mass messaging after it was reported that nearly half of the state's 40 cases of monkeypox were locally acquired. Deborah Friedman, Victoria's Deputy Chief Health Officer, announced that those infected and close contacts will be monitored, advising people at risk to take preventative measures to avoid infection. Recently, 22,000 of the 450,000 doses of the monkeypox vaccine purchased by the Australian government have arrived. Meanwhile, the rest are expected by the end of the year and early 2023. Australia's total recorded cases of monkeypox now totals to 92 cases. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Marvi Delfin reporting live from Australia. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Tumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
The 13-man pool of Gilas, Pilipinas will travel for Lebanon early on Tuesday, August 23 for the 4th window of the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers. Sunny Barrios, the Executive Director and spokesperson for Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, revealed the team will be under the leadership of NBA star Jordan Clarkson and 7'3" center Kai Sotto. PBA star Scotty Thompson and Japeth Aguilar of Barangay Ginebra, Calvin Oftana of NLEX, and rookie national team players Chris Newsom of Meralco, Jamie Malonzo of Northport, and free agent Roosevelt Adams will also be playing as a local after receiving the clearance from FIBA just last July. Dwight Ramos, Kiefer 30, and Ray Parks Jr., all B-League imports, round out the team. Carl Tamayo, a forward representing the University of the Philippines, is the lone college athlete selected from the pool. The day before the match versus FIBA Asia Cup 2022 silver medalist Lebanon on Wednesday, August 24, the final 12 will be unveiled following the deadline for lineup submissions. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAG-ASA, predicted stormy weather throughout northern and central Luzon on Tuesday, owing to the projected passage of Tropical Storm Florita. PAG-ASA in its 8 p.m. bulletin said Florita was located 145 kilometers east of Casiguran, Aurora. It was packing maximum sustained winds of 75 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 90 kilometers per hour. Should it maintain its current speed and track, Florita will likely make landfall in the vicinity of the east coast of Isabela or east coast of Cagayan early morning on Tuesday. Tropical cyclone wind signal number 2 was hoisted over Cagayan, the southern portion of Babuyan Islands, Isabela, Quirino, the eastern and central portions of Nueva Vizcaya, Apayao, Abra, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, the northern portion of Benguet, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, and the northern and central portions of Aurora. Signal number 1 was also up for the rest of Babuyan Islands, the rest of Nueva Vizcaya, the rest of Benguet, La Union, the eastern and central portions of Pangasinan, the eastern portion of Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, the rest of Aurora, the eastern portion of Pampanga, the eastern portion of Bulacan, the eastern portion of Rizal, the northern portion of Quezon, including Polillo Islands, the northern portion of Laguna, and Camarines Norte. By Tuesday, heavy to intense with at times torrential rains may prevail over Cagayan, Isabela, Batanes, Cordillera Administrative Region, and Ilocos Region. Meanwhile, moderate to heavy with at times intense rains may affect Aurora, Zambales, and Bataan. Light to moderate with at times heavy rains may persist over the rest of Cagayan Valley and the rest of Central Luzon. Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with the word giving glory to God from the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 13. It says, A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. And those are the reasons behind the news, August 22nd, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo, and because we need to know, we will always ask why. We serve the people, we give glory to God.